Hi YouTube and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am talking all about how you can batch create your Instagram Reels. If you have watched any of my other YouTube videos or you follow me over on Instagram at Foxwell, then you may already know that I am a big fan of getting ahead with your content planning content in advance, and batch creating content as much as possible. So since Instagram Reels is Instagram's latest feature, I thought that it was about time I made a video about how to batch create Instagram Reels. Now, just before we get into the step-by-step process, one question I wanted to answer was around how many Reels should I be batching? What should my posting cadence be like? What should my schedule be like? How many Reels should I be making? Because obviously that is going to have an impact on your batching process. Now, if I were you, I would recommend sharing one Reel a week. That is fairly manageable. If you can do more than that, fantastic. But if you're a beginner and if you just aren't really sure about the creation of Reels yet, you don't feel 100% confident, then I would say aim for one as a great starting point. And that means that if you are able to batch 4 Instagram Reels at once, that is a month's worth of Instagram Reels you have created and sorted and done and dusted off of your to-do list. So just bear that in mind, that if you can get into a batching process and a system that works for you, this is really going to just make your entire content creation process so much more efficient. Now let's jump into the batching step-by-step process. And it goes without saying that you do not have to do these steps one after the other all on the same day. The idea is that you do each of these individual tasks on their own at different focused times if that works best for you, or you batch some of the steps together, again at times and days that work for you. So step number 1 is really the research step. So in this step, you would set a timer for maybe 30 minutes, head to the explore page on your Instagram account, go to the Reel feed and just spend some time in there noticing what kind of music is working for other people, what kind of styles people are using in their Reels. Are they using props? Are they filming different scenes? Are they doing cool transitions? See what else is being created out there, because all of this you can use as inspiration for your own Instagram Reels. The idea with Instagram Reels, oddly enough, is not necessarily to be the most original person out there. It's actually to ride the wave of what is already working, what trends are already working, what music is already working, and see how you can apply those to your own content so you can make the most of something that's already working for other people. That's the smart thing to do. So in this step, you are going to just do some research, fall down a rabbit hole, and make a note while you're doing this, either in a notepad and pen or maybe on your laptop. Make a note of music tracks that you like, make a note of the style of reel that you like, that you think maybe you could recreate for your own industry or niche. Make a note of these things. And in this way, you're going to start actually noting down the beginnings of your own Instagram Reel ideas. So this brings me on to step number 2. Now, this is where you're actually going to start fleshing out those notes into actual ideas. So start almost writing a script for those Reels. If you are going to be talking face to camera, because you absolutely can do that, you don't always have to have music playing over your Reel, you can just be talking face to camera like this. If you are going to be talking face to camera, make a note of that. Say, speaking face to camera. If you're going to be using music, then make a note of the track. And also start scripting out what text you're going to say if you're going to be speaking face to camera, or what text is going to be overlaid if you are having music playing. Now, I'm just going to show you what this looks like on the screen now. When I did this exact process using an email draft inside of Gmail, I had my phone in one hand, my laptop with Gmail open in the other. And when I was doing step 1 and step 2, this is how I was doing it. I was making a note in Gmail, scripting out what the Reels would look like. And this meant that when I came to create the Reel, I had everything there I needed to just quickly create the Reel. And you can see with this example here in my Gmail draft, how this influenced and guided the final Reel that I created here, and how it literally is like for like. So that is the beauty of scripting out your Reels ahead of time. Now, during this step, you may also want to make a note of any props you might be using for each of those Reels ideas, or any scene changes you're going to have, or any other kind of transition that is going to be included in those reel ideas. Again, by making a note of these things at this stage, you're helping to remove overwhelm when you actually get to the filming of the reels. So step number 3, you are going to block out some time in your diary for reel creation, reel filming. So depending on how experienced, how confident you feel with creating reels, you might want to block out just half an hour to quickly bash through the filming of 3 reels. You might want to block out a bit more time if you are a beginner. And I recommend blocking out enough time so that you don't feel stressed and pressurized to whack out some reels in a really, really short amount of time. So maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half if you have that time, so that you can create the reels not feeling stressed, and so that you have enough time to do the outfit changes, the transitions, the scene changes, the props, whatever it is you're doing for those reels. So now we get to step number 4. The time has arrived, that blocked out time you put in your diary is here. And now you're going to film your 3 Instagram reels. So get everything ready that you need before you start recording, the outfits you need, the props and so on. Have your script open on your laptop or on your notepad and pen. And you have 2 options of filming. You can either film inside of Instagram using the Instagram Reels feature platform, or you can film your reels on your phone. Now, if you're going to film your Instagram reels using the camera function on your phone, just bear in mind the time limit you have of 30 seconds. So just keep any clips that you film just within those boundaries, or at least know in the back of your mind that once you edit those down, they will be within that time frame. The beauty of filming inside of Instagram is that you have a progress bar, so you're able to know how much time you have left when you're filming and how much of that 15 or 30 seconds you have already spent recording. The other benefit of filming inside Instagram Reels is that you can film with the music playing. So you will then know how to move your body in time to the beat if that's what you want to do, and it just gives you a better understanding of how that music is going to fit with your reel. So you would go ahead and film your first Instagram Reel. So now we're at step number 5. You have filmed your first Instagram Reel. Now, there are 2 options of what you're going to do at this stage, and it really depends on a couple of things. So if you know that you don't have the music button, it doesn't work for you properly on Instagram, or you know that you want to edit this reel further because maybe you have a screen recording you want to include in this reel, maybe you want to do a montage of other images, or you want to add another video into this reel, and therefore you want to use external editing software, then at this stage, you would save down the reel to your phone, to your photo gallery. This is going to save the finished recorded reel as it is, without text, without audio, or with audio if you're speaking face to camera. But if you're not speaking face to camera and you're going to have music playing, then this will save the reel just as it is, filmed without sound and without any text overlays, ready for you to edit. And we'll get to that in a later step. If you do have the music function, it's working properly for you, and you know that you don't want to do any more editing to this reel because it's perfect, what I would say is add the text overlays at this point. And once you've added the text overlays, now you can save this finished reel to your phone, to your photo gallery. A quick reminder that if you do have the music function working properly, and when you filmed your reel, you did so in time to the music that you want to have on that reel, when you save this reel to your photo gallery, it won't save it with the audio. That is okay. As long as you know what the track was that you want with that reel, when you come to actually publish your Instagram reel on your specified date, then what you would do is you would first open up Instagram, go over to Reels, select that music using the music button, choose the song you want, and then you would add the pre-recorded reel that you'd already made from your photo gallery and load it up into Instagram Reels. And then it will add that music to that reel that you recorded before. So just a quick warning that is what will happen. It will save it without the audio, but it doesn't matter because you can go in and add that afterwards if the music button is working as it should be for you. Now, depending on how many reel ideas you have drafted, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, you're going to repeat step 5 again and again until you've filmed all of those reels and saved them down to your phone. Now, step number 6 is the editing stage. Now, if you don't have the music function working properly, or you want to add some different effects to your Instagram reel that you aren't able to do inside of Instagram, then you might want to use some editing software. And so I really recommend two apps for this. The desktop editing app that I love is called Veed, and the mobile phone, the smartphone editing app that I love is InShot. So if you are unfamiliar with either of those, then spend a little bit of time playing around with them. Like anything, it takes a bit of time to get your head around how to use them, but I promise you, this is coming from somebody who is not very techie at all. They are really, really easy to use once you get used to them. So those are the two apps I recommend. And if you need to add music, you can use either of these apps to do that. If you want to know how to do this in more detail, then check out this video after this one where I walk you through how to do that using InShot. It's really, really easy. On the other hand, you might find that the text is really glitchy for you inside of Instagram. And when you try to add text on Instagram Reels, it doesn't really work. So again, you might want to add text using external editing software. And so this is what you would do at this stage. You would open up your saved Reels that are saved in your photo gallery, and you would open them up in either Veed or InShot. And this is where you would edit them. So this is where you can add text overlays, you can add music. If you wanted to add screen recordings over the top of your reel to demonstrate something, if it was an educational reel, for example, this is where you could add that in. Both of these pieces of software are really, really great and allow you to do lots of different things. So the more experienced and comfortable you get with creating Instagram Reels, the more you may want to experiment using these editing platforms and apps. But for right now, you may not want to be editing to that level. So you may just want to go and use them to add music, or you may not need to use them at all. If everything is working for you as it should be inside Instagram Reels, you can skip this step altogether and jump to step number 7. So step number 7, now that you have your Instagram Reels edited and created, now you're going to create cover images for each of these. Now these should be the same dimensions as an Instagram story, which I believe is 9:16 ratio dimensions. If I have got that wrong or right, I will add the correct dimensions on the screen now. But essentially, if you've already created art for Instagram stories or IGTV even, because that's the same dimensions, if you've already created slides for either of those before, then you can just replicate the same template, the same sizes for your Instagram Reels. Now, the reason I am suggesting that you make cover images for your Reels and you don't just use the screen grab that Instagram will suggest and use for you if you don't create a cover image is because you want to make sure that you are creating cover images that are as optimized as possible, that are going to be as eye-catching and attention-grabbing as they can be, and so that they do fit in to your overall grid, because you're going to save your Instagram Reels to your main feed. And what happens when you do that is it shows a little preview of the cover image of that reel on your grid. And so you don't have to fuss over the look of this. You don't have to make it really, really perfect and really stylized, but you do just want to make sure that your cover images are optimized. They have an eye-catching headline, an eye-catching name. If it is an educational reel, you might want to include a number in there, or maybe you want to have a question, something that is going to grab people's attention when they're scrolling through their feed or they're looking at your grid, something that's going to pique their interest and make them want to watch that reel. So step number 8, this is where you are going to craft your captions and curate your hashtags for each of those individual reels. Now, yes, I do recommend writing captions for your reels. They don't have to be hugely lengthy, but think about somebody stumbling upon your reel in the reel feed or the explore page that doesn't know you. Your caption is a great opportunity to serve more value to them and really convince them that they should be following you. So it doesn't have to be overly lengthy, but definitely think about how you can elaborate on the reel and provide a bit more value. And you can include a call to action in that caption. So you can continue the engagement by asking people to comment below or to save the reel or to share their thoughts, or if you've got a really juicy offer, then to check out the link in your bio. In terms of hashtags, while you don't need to use hashtags right now as of November 2020 to experience really great reach and growth on Instagram, they are increasingly going to become more important, and you are going to need to use them as more reels get created, because hashtags are just a way of categorizing all of the vast amount of content that is on Instagram and show the right content to the right person. So they will become increasingly more important. So why not get in the habit now of curating and getting together the right hashtags for the right reels. Make sure that they are super niche, not too popular, and you want to get your captions and your hashtags together, whether you save them to a Google Doc, whether you save them inside of your scheduler of choice. I like to do this inside of Later. Now, I don't schedule Reels in Later. I don't believe that's even something you can do right now. But what I do is I save my drafted caption and hashtags inside of Later using a random post that I'm not actually going to use, but I drop that post on the day that I want to share reel number 1, let's say, and I save it with the caption and the hashtags I want to use with that reel. And what that does is it means that I've got all of my captions and hashtags saved in one place, and I get a push notification sent to me so that on the right day and time, I can save that caption and those hashtags when the notification pops up on my phone, and then I can copy and paste that alongside the reel that I've loaded up into my phone. So that's just what I do. That's a little tip, but you can save those captions and hashtags wherever is easiest for you. So if you haven't already set reminders in your diary and scheduled in exactly when you want to share those reels, you could do that now. Maybe you've already done it, but setting reminders is a great way just to be accountable, make sure you don't forget. And when that day comes, all you need to do is open up Instagram. If you knew when you created and saved the reel to your phone that you were going to go in and add the audio back in later because you had the music button, it works normally, then what you would do is you would open up Instagram, go to Reels, select the track you want, and then open up the relevant reel and find it inside of your gallery and load it into Instagram Reels. If you've already added the music and the text overlays and everything using external editing software, then you can just do this exact process but without selecting music. Then you copy and paste your captions and hashtags into the right place. Make sure that the toggle is toggled on so that you are going to share the reel to your main feed, and then hit share. And there you have it. That is your first reel published. And now you have 2 or 3 or 4 more reels that you have created that you can share for the next 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in a row. That's all for this week's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you feel a bit more confident about your Instagram reel batch creation process. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell button so you never miss a new video when it drops every single week. And if you enjoyed this video about Reels, don't forget that you can check out this video right here, which is all about how to create Instagram Reels from start to finish. And join me next week when I am going to share a video all about the best tips to creating Reels that will help you go viral. So I'll see you next week for that video. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.